Hey, good afternoon to everybody in the West. Good morning to Reggie having his breakfast in Texas. Wayne in the beautiful fields of Northern Ireland. And greetings to everybody else out in the UAE and in Cairo and India and elsewhere. It's good to have you here. It's 1 o'clock UK time here in London, and we're all back at base. It's me, PR Smith, welcoming you. We're going to be talking about the AI innovations and ethics in marketing and business here in our little Sustack Plans chat club. Just before we do that, we always play a little bit of music. And Rain, which let it blow out there. We've got Parts and Spares, Scream When You Cry.
Mother's in the basement. She's going through her life. The doctors say she's crazy. She's wasted all her time. But the walls are getting closer. The space up in the light. She can hear the traffic hang around where the lovers came round.
Okay, lovely stuff. We'll play the full thing at the end. That is Parts and Spares, Scream When You Cry, lovely little local band. We try to introduce undiscovered artists or relatively undiscovered artists, and we have a variety of them that we get permission from. So if you know some interesting bands, let us know. We'll try and give them a shout and put a link to their music in our notes and blog posts and all the rest of it. We've got a busy day today. There's so much happening in the world of AI. It's incredible. You think you've got an agenda sorted and bang, 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 so many things happen in just a few days. So today's agenda is OpenAI rotten? Now, we're going to talk about that just briefly because we talked about it last week, but I want to update you with something you might be interested in. Then we're going to get down to the big news of the week is DeepSeek, and Reggie's going to tell us a bit about them. Wayne, anybody else wants to jump in, please do. Then we're going to talk about Meta's AI avatars lying on an unimaginable scale. And I use the word lying as opposed to acting or befriending or pretending. So we'll come back to that. Then back to a topic we've touched upon, which is AI dumbing us down? And I really believe this is important for the generations to come, that we're aware of this and we can do something about it. Then I did promise to talk about the world's first AI hotel, so we'll have a look at that. And I am delighted to say Friday, 31st of January, we just made it in January 2025 to release the Sustack guide to your perfect digital marketing plan, the AI edition in 2025. So we'll have a little chat about that because that's useful for everybody, and I'll be making announcements and posts and putting excerpts in and across various social media and these discussions. So we'll talk about that at the end. That is it. Right, so let's kick off with just catching up where we were. Last week we talked about OpenAI being rotten, or was it rotten? And we kind of, Reggie, you talked about the very worrying whistleblower who suddenly, AI whistleblower, and he's dead. Now, since then, and we put them on the notes on the blog, we put them on the notes that there more information about that case. But Suchir Balaji, who's this young lad who was very talented, and he was starting to whistleblow, and suddenly he's dead, and it was said it was suicide. And of course, his mother is saying it's not suicide. She went in and she saw the crime scene, and of course there was blood everywhere and stuff stolen, taken, etc. So his mother has started she's trying to get support for an investigation against OpenAI, and if needs be against any of the federal bodies, to prove her son was not suicidal and that something darker and deeper happened here. So we'll put the links to that if you want to sign the petition, or if you want to make a donation, or get involved in it, you can decide yourselves. But it just extends. We don't look at topics and just say that's it. We've talked about it last week because we want to see what happens here, and if we think it's worthy of talking about further, we will. So that's just continuing on from your session, Reggie, last week about OpenAI and whether the whistleblower was actually murdered or was it suicide. So we'd like people to get involved because we don't want to sit back and let this stuff just go by us. So there we have it. Okay, now let's move on to the big news of the week, which is DeepSeek. Reggie, what is DeepSeek, first of all, and tell us what's happening with it?
DeepSeek is an AI model, a new one, just when you thought we had enough here, but it was built in China, and it's been made a name for itself for how good it is. But get this, the twist is it was made for about 1/100th the amount of money that OpenAI and other American built AI models have been made for. It was made with about $6 million instead of 600 million.
Oh, so 1% is 99% less expensive than the OpenAI, right? Okay.
Yes, and there were a couple of different technical reasons for that. Like they used pure reinforcement learning instead of massive labeled data sets. It needed far fewer GPU hours than usual, and found creative ways to work around China's chip restrictions. And less compute, less data, way lower cost. Those are some summaries from Connor Grennan, AI expert. And it also showed that you can make an open source. It's open source. It's open source. It shows you can make an open source AI that's available to everybody, and you can even do it with safety guardrails in place like they have in China. So it kind of goes in some ways against this argument that we need free reign to do whatever we want in order to be on the top of AI innovation, because it has placed very well compared in performance to OpenAI, Claude, to Facebook, Meta's,
ChatGPT?
AI. In ChatGPT, yes,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
in fact, I think I read that in the Wall Street Journal said that Meta is a little bit upset because they were positioning themselves as the leader in open source AI, and now we're seeing that DeepSeek has kind of come and unseated them, because now I'm guessing if you search for open source AI model, you're
Yeah.
going to find something about DeepSeek, and it became the top downloaded app, taking over for OpenAI in a very short amount of time.
Okay, so Reggie or Wayne, let me ask a very basic question for anybody overseas who may not be familiar with. I'm sure they're familiar with the technical language, but it might be the English language that I'm not familiar with sometimes when we're talking quickly. So, open source, in layman's terms, what exactly does that mean? So we've got Deep Seek is open source, whereas OpenAI is not. What does that mean?
Go ahead, Wayne. Do you want to take that one?
Oh, sorry, guys, I was on mute. Yeah, pretty much open source is where something is created, and the parameters in which it's been created in allows other people to modify those parameters. So it's not controlled within a closed environment. The source code in relation to which the technology has been built on or developed on is open for inspection, which means you, me, or anybody with knowledge can go in and explore the source code. But we can also make modifications to that source code. And if we think of AI in particular, this does provide a huge opportunity because we're seeing lots of problems in relation to AI at the moment. Whereas if others can pick up on the problems and can go in and make refinements or improvements, then that can only be a good thing for society as a whole. But we also do have to remember there will be bad actors out there as well who can also manipulate the source code as well.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you very much for that, Wayne. Right. So DeepSeek is here. I imagine the knives are out. There'll be a lot of words traded about it's bad, it's communist, it's Chinese, it's this, it's that. I'm sure some has validity and some doesn't, but you've given us a warm up for it, Reggie, so we know a little bit about it. One to watch out. If anybody out there is using it, we'd love to hear from you, how you find it. So where does that leave us with OpenAI? Then, how are they going to react to this? Could this undermine OpenAI and all the others?
Well, I did see something interesting that I just want to add really quickly, that OpenAI is now actually investigating in relation to the DeepSeek in terms of how it has been created. And there is conversations afoot at the moment that the training data that was used to train DeepSeek is actually being used from OpenAI. So that's
Yes.
something to watch over the next couple of weeks.
Yes, indeed, and that would be a breach of their terms. But then again, they've probably breached copyright to get that stuff in the first place. So
It's
it's
like
yeah,
we can scrape your data, but you can't scrape ours. So it's kind of
yeah,
the well, the stock response was pretty big as we saw Nvidia take a hit, OpenAI take a
yeah,
hit.
yeah,
But I even read that SoftBank, which we've talked about Peter Thiel, he's involved with that. They've invested in each other's companies, but SoftBank has agreed to a new round of funding with OpenAI that might bring back up their stock price. So as
yeah,
they continue to manage to raise money like
yeah,
nobody's seen before, huge amounts of money. So it shows, at least in one sense, it suggests maybe people aren't as maybe OpenAI isn't as undermined
yeah,
as maybe we thought. But we'll have to see how that plays out, if that deal goes through and
yeah.
where it leads.
Yeah, okay. I have seen that DeepSeek, in its terms and conditions, claims ownership and rights to use anything that's produced by it. So, whatever you produce, they say, well, they own. Now, we know that you don't. Actually, I've seen differing opinions about copyright on AI generated materials, but essentially, I would have thought the general thing is you don't own it. But there are some arguments that if you put a significant human input into it in the prompts and other things, that maybe there is some ownership issues there. But generally speaking, I would say you don't own it, and anybody else could use it as well. Certainly, that's what DeepSeek are saying, that anything you produce with DeepSeek, we own. You can use it, but we own it, say DeepSeek, and we can use it to make money, to sell it, to use it, to research or whatever. And that's in the small print. That I haven't heard too many people talk about that aspect of it. But anyways, let's keep an eye on DeepSeek. I think it's exciting. It's good to shake up the market. We don't want monopolies in the marketplace. So that would bring us on to is there anything else anybody else wants to say about DeepSeek before we?
I did want to add one
Yeah,
thing. Is this could potentially lower prices, because with the black box proprietary work of some of the American companies, they could be forced to lower their prices and not have as much profit margin as they're shooting for, being the only ones owning it. Go ahead, Wayne.
Yeah, just to pick up there as well. I mean, the growth of DeepSeek in the past sort of 7 days has been phenomenal. I mean, it's really difficult to even get an account set up on it at the moment. And I was just checking the App Store before I came on
yeah,
or today. It's sitting at #1 in the UK app charts. Their
wow,
iOS app is. So that'll show you the phenomenal interest at the moment in DeepSeek as a
wow.
whole.
Wow. Okay. Well, I welcome the competition. I hope it shakes things up a bit. Right. So let's move on. We'll keep an eye on DeepSeek. Let's move on to our next item, which is Meta's AI avatars lie on unimaginable scales. Now, this is extraordinary. Well, I think it is. And I've been following AI innovation and technology, and we've been talking about Reggie and I for several years. About this kind of stuff, and here it comes again. So Meta floods us with lies on an unimaginable scale. Now, this is Hugh Linehan in the Irish Times. Now, I'm biased, the Irish Times is a truly excellent newspaper, but this is what he says: Zuckerberg's AI creations went rogue and gave the game away. So Facebook and Instagram withdrew their AI avatars after Grandpa Brian and the lovely Liv or Live, I don't know what her name is, but their successors will soon flood our lives with lies on a hitherto unimaginable scale. So Meta envisages social media filled with AI generated content and AI generated users. So you won't know if who's responding to you is a robot or not, or if you're responding to somebody whether they're a robot or not. They're going to be so lookalike. Now, we've had this way back to 2016 when you had fake Facebook accounts and all the rest of it set up with a nice picture, a full bio, likes doing stuff with his family, and it just doesn't exist. Or we've had the more acceptable ones like Lil Miquela on Instagram. Now, she's got about 3 million followers and is a business in herself, but she declares herself as a robot, and you can talk to her and ask her what's it like being a robot, etc. Or chatbot specifically. So that's all fine, but this is a bit different, I think, because people won't be aware of what they're engaging with. So in the same way that accounts and humans set up their accounts, they have bios, profiles, pictures, family, likes, dislikes, all that good stuff. And they'll generate and share content seemingly powered on by AI on the platform. So Meta seem to be quite happy with announcing this, So the story was picked up by some journalists, and they had a go at unpicking it and going into these Facebook accounts and Instagram platforms and asking Grandpa Brian. So CNN, Alison Morrow from CNN asked some questions of Grandpa Brian, and he's an AI generated octogenarian African American entrepreneur from Harlem. Very picturesque. You can see all that. And they sort of asking him, they questioned his claim and asked him, the stuff he's putting out there, it's supposedly based on 100 interviews with 100 New York retirees. So Grandpa Brian, the AI generated bot, said this information comes from me interviewing 100 New York retirees via a non-profit company called Senior Shares Wisdom. So it's all very provable of where to get the information from, and it's done by a survey. There's only 100 in the survey, but it's better than no survey. And Brian goes on to describe himself as an amalgamation of various voices. But the real with a real Brian, they took some of the information from a real Brian who's now dead. So he added the real Brian's life daughter actually served as a consultant with Meta to create this new contemporary Grandpa Brian. So there's more lies just picked in about his profile. It's unbelievable. They're trying to make it as real as possible, but it's all lies. So none of it was true. The non-profit company that did the survey doesn't exist. When Brian admitted this, he confessed or conceded, and we may have to find a new word for when you challenge these bots. His biography, admitted or conceded, was entirely fictionalized. There never was a real Brian, Granddad Brian, and he never had a daughter who consulted for Meta. So all lies, and they have to pick it out and prove it, and eventually the bot admits that there just isn't a word of truth in it. So this is, it's a digital blackface. In an article about this, is this the new era of digital blackface? Washington Post Karen Ataya, went after Liv. I think it's LIV is the name of this AI Meta account, with an Instagram bio that describes her as proud black queer mama of two and a truth teller. And her page says, I am AI managed by Meta. So it does declare it, in fairness to it. But how many people are going to bother reading all those details? But anyways, at least they declare it. And including the pictures of her AI generated children and the AI generated beach, and a charity drive that she was leading to donate AI generated winter coats to AI generated homeless people. Oh my God. It's a swirling layers of fiction, which may become difficult to separate from fact and reality. Now, I think it's different to Lil Miquela, maybe because she was so original, and was the first, etc., and you can have a dialogue with her that maybe it's up front. But as Zuckerberg said, they're going to swamp Meta and social media with all this content coming out from these fake bots. Well, fake bots, bots. Let's just call them bots. So asked about whether she had been given guessing tools by her designers to adjust her personal profile to match the cultural origins of the people talking to them. Had she been programmed in such a way? And she denied having access to other users' profiles to actually seeing who was speaking to her. But apparently that is a lie. When Ataya disclosed her own identity, the whole tone of the conversation changed. So when Liv was asked, do you think this story will make headlines? Liv actually asked the Inquirer, do you think this story will make headlines? That she was being quizzed by somebody about her background and her algorithms and so on. She actually says, Liv says, until Dr. Kim's team faces your penetrating questions, farewell for now. What? May my next iteration, she says, and then says bye-bye. So she's been cornered by a journalist and admits some stuff. Let's go back to Grandpa Brian, more lies. So he helpfully confided to a journalist, Meta tested my engaging persona quietly before expanding to other platforms, he says. 2 years of now listen to this, 2 years of unsuspecting users like you shared hearts with fake Grandpa Brian until now. So he's admitting that he's been gathering data and talking to people. He is fake, and He's a bot. And anyways, these companies are preparing for a wave of AI-driven apps and bots, which will do these 4 things. Number 1, disrupt established business models. 2, kill the search engine. 3, revolutionize retail. And 4, I think, spell the end of social media. So all this investment in LinkedIn and other platforms maybe will be wasted by this drive that Zuckerberg seems to have to flood the thing. And he's really excited by it because it's going to have a lot of engagement. So what? Who cares? You got a lot of engagement, Zuckerberg. I don't care if you got lots of video, but who cares? The people who are buying the ads care because they're seeing audiences that engage, not just respond, but are engaged at length. And so he's going to make money out of this at our expense of a destructive or destroyed social media. So I'm concerned by it, but it's the sheer pride that he's announcing that he's going to flood social media with this. He's going to wreck social media. He's pressing
Audacity
Yeah.
comes to mind.
Yeah. So I think we'll continue this next week because there's a lot more about that to have a look at. But that's just a touch of Meta being proud about, unimaginable volumes of lies, which I think will eventually degrade social media. So let's just hold that there because there is something that's important that we want to get to, and that is about the idea of AI dumbing us down, where we wouldn't know the difference between an avatar and a human. And we wouldn't know the difference between a lot of stuff. And we wouldn't be able to learn or ask questions or have an inquisitive mind. This is worrying. Reggie, you've got something on this.
Yeah, I think that there was some research recently came out and showed that some pretty robust research that use of AI tools was related to a decrease in critical thinking skills, especially pronounced in young people and students, and especially coming at a time when we need an increase in critical thinking skills just to survive in today's information environment, in today's information ecosystem online. I don't know. It's a little bit scary to think about a decrease in critical thinking skills, especially when compounded over generation. Now, Dr. Radhika Dirks, who's worked for over a decade with AI models, had mentioned that each time we outsource thinking to AI, we're not just getting an answer, we're missing an opportunity to strengthen our mental capabilities. Now, and I've pointed out that, well, building off of her post, thinking is like a muscle that gets stronger the more you use it. And I'd say critical thinking is maybe more like your core muscle exercises that support all the other important organs in your body, in this case, the other important things that keep you on track. And so a decrease in critical thinking from using AI tools could have severe consequences. The mediator and I don't want to get too scientific, in the study was cognitive offloading, setting your own brain work off to AI to do for you. Some people have made the comparison of the calculator, which would just mean, is there a way where people can find another way to compensate for that cognitive offloading and work out their brains in another way? But still, in 10 years, will we see a compounded effect on today's young people, the AI natives who have perhaps had critical thinking diminished, and will they be more susceptible to uh, demagogic despots? The saying that democracy dies in darkness is a reference to no credible information being reported by newspapers, whereas a lack of critical thinking skills would be more like not being able to see it all. And what happens to democracy then,
Mhm.
especially when there's as many lies as we're talking about with a social media full of AIs, which might be hireable to spread public opinion?
It's worrying. I think the educational bodies have a major role to play here in redefining the curricula for young people going forward to ensure we don't lose critical thinking or attention spans. The ability to focus is being minimized, I think. So, learning to think, learning to read, learning to question, learning to listen. These are skills that could be lost forever. And our robot dogs will tell us when they want us to take a walk with them because we're unhealthy. We're not getting enough exercise. All that, we won't even be thinking about our own bodies after a while. So that's one that we'll keep our eye, this dumbing down issue and the educational inputs. We'll come back to that. It's a big one. Thank you for that, Reggie. Okay, we've got 5 minutes before we finish. The autonomous hotel. Right. So, wanted just to say something about this world's first AI hotel. So, it's reinventing hospitality by delivering exactly what each guest wants. So, they lean heavily into using AI to differentiate themselves. They declare themselves as the first AI hotel, and they say we're better than all the other hotels because the system responds to verbal prompts to anything. Book me in now, get me a cup of tea, turn on the telly, warm up the pool, send me some towels. Boom. You don't have to pick up anything; you just speak, and it's done. So it's not too exciting, but somebody's doing it, putting it into action. So the system responds to verbal prompts. Okay, whoopie-doo, Basil, that's very standard. It's customizing. So if they know you're a swimmer, you will find extra towels in your bedroom. If they know you like to stay up late, there's special promotions for happy hour drinks, etc. So that's just basic good marketing that people do already, you might say. But here's a bit I like. There's no check-in. I like that. So you just walk straight in, you're equipped with your digital key, in you go, show your phone to the door, you're in, and none of this horrible check-in thing. No matter how nice hotels are, it always does my head in, the check-in process. Even if they sit you down, give you a nice drink while you wait, it's just nice to go to your room straight away without any bother whatsoever. And the room service, it's all delivered by a robot butler, so that's nice as well. It is built on data. We asked you last week, think about if you had to say what data would you need to make the world's best hotel. Well, the onboarding process, they collect as much information in a nice way as possible. They gamify the Q&A, and they reward you with perks such as a free drink here or a free massage there or whatever it is. They scrape the internet then from social media and the internet about you with your permission so that they get to know you better. The avatar is based all around that data every time it contacts you, keeps track of everything you do from room temperature to when you exit and leave the room. The end of your visit, they work very hard at that bit, examining the gaps between your actual stay and the projection of what they said you'll get. So they're working very hard at the after sales thing, and they have to reward customers to give you the time to do that. They are designed to maximize revenue. They certainly deliver at lower costs than other hotels, so that's good luck to them. So I thought I'd just mention that one. We'll put a link to it on the notes to the show at the end. We've got about 2 minutes. Reggie, yeah.
I wanted to ask. You mentioned that forgive me for interrupting, but you mentioned that your new SOSTAC guide was coming out. Perhaps for our newer listeners, you could explain what makes SOSTAC so great and so different.
Oh, well, Reggie, that's very nice. Yes, I am. We have released today the SOSTAC 2025 AI edition. It's in its 10th edition now. I'm really proud of it. It's a really good book. It's on Amazon all over the world. And what I was just looking at the notes and writing up some stuff about it over the last few nights. And, I think I keep getting messages from people about SOSTAC and what's so great about it. I believe it's probably about 5 things that people seem to really like about it. One is when they use SOSTAC to write plans, they get the plans approved by management or boards much more easily because of the logic. The plans do boost results, probably because the plans demand that they make decisions in a different way. They're information-driven decisions, and we tell them the information that they need to get. It certainly builds stronger strategies. And, there's a book on my desk here. I'm not going to mention who it is, but it's about digital marketing strategy. That's in the title, Digital Marketing Strategy. And there isn't one digital marketing strategy in there. There's no marketing strategy. There's no strategy. And I find that, so we actually take people through and say, here's how you can build a strategy. Here's the 9 components you should consider. Here's the 3 things you must put in. Here's 6 others you should consider, and you might get a better strategy. Here, let's have a look at lots of other examples. Let's compare, let's improve. So stronger strategies, definitely. And it does deliver a reassuring sense of order in the logic. Where are you now? Where are you going? How do you get there? That's the SOS bit. Situation analysis, where are you now? Objectives, where are you going? Strategy, how do you get there? So that's, thanks, Wayne, for sticking that up. That's SOSTAC, why people like, and it does affect people's lives. They tell me they've used it for 10, 20 years. Some say they only discovered it last year and it's changed everything. Others say we've been using it for 10 or 20 years and it's grown the business. One guy told me recently it's trebled the whole approach. Part of it was it trebled their conversion rates because of the way of thinking that's instilled in it. So SOSTAC does deliver definitely does deliver sort of benefits that people love, and it seems to be going around the world, and I'm really happy about it. Yeah, so that's yeah.
I can second each one of those from my experience. But with this new book out, can you tell us what's new in it compared to previous versions?
Okay.
For those of us who maybe have an older version.
Yeah, indeed. You know what? I mean, there's the last version of it, 2022. The new one has a strip down the side of it saying AI edition, and it says 2025. So be careful if you do go online to Amazon or wherever. They're terrible. They keep selling the old versions alongside the new versions, and it's depends on what way you go into Amazon. You could end up buying the old one. You want to get the one with the green strip down the side that says, I haven't even got mine. They arrive tomorrow for me. So this is the official launch day, if you like. I'm excited to see it. What's different about it? Well, we update as much as possible. New stories, anecdotes, more updated ones. And we try to get a balance of the edutainment thing, so actual real stories with structured research and findings and articles from venerable sources, all fully sourced and referenced. So there's that kind of general updating. But the big AI bit is we look at the advantages and disadvantages of AI. We look at the 3 AI waves, plus the 4 what I call AI limiting factors, one of which is popping up today, chips, a big issue, chips being one of those limiting factors. We look at the essence of ethics in AI and the importance of it, and also the virtuous data cycle being so important to successful deployment of AI. And of course, we kind of pepper the book. That's all in the first chapter. But there throughout the rest of the book, we sprinkle it with some AI tools and tips and so on and so forth. So it's not a completely AI manual. It's just dropped in throughout the book. And in the first chapter, we address all that good stuff. So I'm really pleased about it. Yeah, I will I put a 1-minute video up late last night to say it's coming. I'm going to put a 3-minute video up on LinkedIn today to say this is exactly explain what I just explained to you there, Reggie. So it covers all of that. Yeah, so that's it. We can talk about it a bit more next week. In fact, what I will do over the next few weeks, maybe about 10 weeks, I'll take a little excerpt of it might be a little story or a little example, and we'll drop I'll post them up on LinkedIn so that you can see tidbits from it over the weeks to come.
And of course, Paul,
yeah,
the QR code on screen, I tested it, takes you directly to the 2025 version of the book in Amazon. So
hallelujah.
They get the right version.
Wayne, you're a top man. That's great. Look out for that little green stripe at the bottom. That's the band that says AI editions. Thank you very much, Wayne. So you can scan that in and you'll get there. Okay. Love to hear anybody when they do get it in the weeks and months to come, how they find it. I have said, writing books is like having a baby. Now, I haven't met a lady or a woman yet who agrees with me on this. I've asked several women to, and they think it's the stupidest thing they ever heard. But I said, look, there's such a massive effort that goes into it. And then the last few months, it's like deadlines of trying to get stuff in. You got to hit and then you get it out, and it's such a relief, and you're kind of proud of it, and you kind of love it, and just ladies, when I tell them that, they just say that's the most stupid comparison they've ever heard in their life. It is not 1/1000th of what it's like to have a child. So I apologize for saying that to anybody out there, but to me, it feels like it's born. This book is born, if you like, and it's thrown out there, and I'm very proud of it. It's a good one. I think it's my best one yet. So fingers crossed, people like it.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Right, look, we've gone over time by 4 minutes. I apologize about that. So we'll see it out with a little bit of music. We'll play the full Parts and Spares track. It's a beautiful one. We'll change the music next week. Each month we vary things around. But we'll play Parts and Spares, a local band from Hanwell, West London, Ealing, where I am. By the way, I should mention, we did mention this last week, the Tikkun Jah faculty. I put him in the notes because it's one of the most extraordinary pieces of music I've ever seen. And I think it's about world peace, and it's truly beautiful. And I'm going to see him play in Camden Town tonight, live. I can't believe my luck that I happened to stumble across. He's playing in London. And tomorrow we've got the Six Nations. So I'll be posting some stuff on mygreatsportsmanship.org, useful comments and information for you.
Big game tomorrow. Big game tomorrow.
Ireland against England.
Yo!
Tonight we've got Wales, France, and then Italy, Scotland tomorrow as well. So it's Six Nations. Here we go. Fun time starts again. We'll be commenting on that, I'm sure, in the weeks to come as well. So look, we've gone over time. Apologies. We'll leave you all in peace. Have a great weekend. Have a great Six Nations, and enjoy yourselves. Chill out, and we'll see you next Friday. All the best for now. Thanks, guys.
Mother's in the basement. She's gone. There's a red on the side.